We're going to have another crack at going up the freeway to see if we can get somewhere near Joondalup, but before we get there, let's just have a look at the sculpture outside Optus Stadium. That's pretty nice, and I have been enjoying myself at lots of cafes around the place, and yes, there's lots of swans over here, and that's the weirdest playground slide I've ever seen. And on the Swan River in the morning, favourite bit of stuff for jet boating. Yes, just have a nice peaceful morning spoilt by that. But let's go back to starting in the city, and I'm going to try and take another route to get up to St Bridget's Church, which will take me onto the path along the freeway. So I thought I'd try this street this time since it actually had some bicycle signals on it. So it seems to be the right way to go, even though there's no signage or anything saying going this way. And, oh look, a couple of cops on bicycles. And big difference, I think, between Perth and Sydney. In Perth, when they say, oh, we need to have more police bicycling or bicycle policing, they go and stick 7 cops on bikes. Yes, 7, because there are 2 in front of me, and there were a pack of 5 behind me. And this is kind of the equivalent of Northbridge. So this is Northbridge, the equivalent of King's Cross. Whereas in Sydney, of course, when you say, oh, we want more bicycle policing, that means run an Op Pedro and fine people $100 for not having a bell. But I think they found here this is the perfect way to police all the drunks coming out of the clubs at 6 a.m. Anyway, I managed to find St Bridget's Church, and this will get us onto the bike path. Yay, I now know where to find this thing. And I'm not going to bore you with the first 12 or 15 kilometres or so. There's another video which covers that. And this time what we're doing is we're pushing on as far as we can up towards Joondalup. And I had a bit of a commitment this morning I had to get back for, so I reached a point where I turned around. Now this is where I got fouled up last time, where I went across this road and went straight ahead rather than turning right. And why did I do that? Well, look at where the directional stuff is. It's on the pavement around the corner. Wouldn't it make more sense to actually stick it right there on the crest of the corner, or the cuspid of whatever you call it, to tell you where to go, so you'd actually see it as you're approaching the corner, not you've gone past it to the left and completely missed it. These things are set to try us. And then you go along here and you just get dumped out on the road, and you'd think they'd be smart and they'd put an arrow off to the left there, or not an arrow, or some bicycle symbols or something along this stretch of road, because you go for a fair distance to find this bridge. And yeah, I think this is pretty old. It's got a 7% gradient, and this is what it's covering. So you've got 2 lanes over on the right, you then got 4 lanes there or something, you've got 2 train lines, another 4 lanes, and 2 lanes on the other side. So next time someone says to you, oh, bicycle lanes take up too much land, yeah, just show them that, because the freeway's like that all the way up north. Just a huge slab of space. Now, most of the bike path was really good until we got to this point, and it must be another council, because this, just look at how rough this concrete paving is. It's like Lyons Road was before they decided to grind it smooth. Slabs on sand, really bad idea, because after 20 or 30 years there's no proper foundation under there and they just sink. Now notice the turn off to the left, that was about the only one for miles, and of course there's no signage there to tell you where the hell that is. What street does that take you to? What suburb does it take you to? I have absolutely no idea. It was just somewhere out in some strange place up north. But maybe that was another council boundary, and you can see we're back onto what you'd think is nice typical red asphalt, but it's not. I think this is again a concrete path that they've just slapped a layer of red asphalt over the top, because you can see all the seams, and if you look at how the back wheel's going, it's going bumpity 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 bump. Yeah, this, compared to other paths, this whole section from that big bridge was rough as guts, really. I just want to show an underpass. Just, yes, there are some up here. Yeah, it varies, I think, from council to council. Now, this is about the only intersection where there was lots of good signage. It's a 4-way intersection, and that was fairly well done, I thought. And I like this path because you can see it's got white lines on each side showing you where the edges are. It's actually got some lighting. Long stretches of this don't. It's got the thing down the middle, and it's made out of smooth asphalt, and all those turn-offs were well marked and easy to see. And then we go into a slightly older section here where, you know, I don't know if you noticed the turn off there was not as good, and suddenly the quality of the path changes right there. Suddenly the edge lines disappear. I guess this is an older section, not quite well so built as that previous section. Still perfectly rideable, but it just shows you that there's all these sections which have been done at different times, and they're very inconsistent. Suddenly it changes again, and we're on to concrete slabs again, with a green line down the middle. So we've gone from red path with white line down the middle and white line on the edges to green path, and suddenly, whoop, we're back on red path with white line down the middle but no edges. Oh, it's so confusing. I mean, it's a good thing this is essentially a straight line in most places, that you just continue straight on. You get on it and you just go. There's not many places like this where you get off and go. It would be nice to have some bike symbols that, just to confirm I'm supposed to be going up there and not turning left or going on the path or going somewhere else. It's this kind of stuff that's missing everywhere. And if I hadn't seen that cyclist pop out of there, I probably wouldn't have known that's where I had to turn, because again, no symbology, no signage, just relying on a cyclist coming the other way. We're back onto rough, lumpy, sunken concrete again. Not the best ride at all, and the hills along here were pretty horrible in places, because yes, whilst there's underpasses, they didn't kind of cut through the hills and follow the line. You see here we're going up, whereas the freeway has been cut quite low here, so you're up and down, up and down. Now we're on to pink concrete. It's not pink or red asphalt, it's pink painted concrete. It's like, make up your mind, guys. Is it concrete or asphalt? Is it going to be black or red? Is it or grey or whatever? I just thought, notice all the sound walls, lots and lots of sound walls along this whole area, obviously because of just the racket from the freeway. Probably wouldn't be the best place to live. Anyway, back onto the grey concrete slabs with the green stuff down the middle. And yes, I was thankful I was on a mountain bike for a lot of this ride. I saw a lot of road bikes, but I think a mountain bike is a little bit better. Now, there's this great big kind of twisty bridge, which reminds me of getting onto the Anzac Bridge on the city side. And when I rode back, I thought I'll just go over this just for the sake of it, to see what it compares like to the approach to the Anzac Bridge, what it compares to like the old bridge over Victoria Road, which has been demolished. It was slightly wider than that, but it's a massive bridge because you're crossing 8 or 10 lanes of traffic here. Pretty horrible, very steep, and then you get dumped off the edge and it's like, whoa, into this car park where there's a school, and absolutely no signage anywhere that I could see around that car park sending you back over the bridge. And here you can see, you went from green lines to no green lines down the middle of the path. It's like, oh, for crying out loud, is there any hope of having some consistency here? If you're going to have green lines everywhere. Just don't not have them in some places for whatever reason. Make it consistent. Here we are, we're back to green lines. Why can we have green lines here but not green lines back there? Well, we're coming towards the end. I came down here and got to this intersection, and whilst on the other side of this set of traffic lights I could see a red path, so after a couple of seconds of looking, I was pretty sure where I had to go. I thought, no, I've gone far enough. That was 20 odd kilometres. I might come back up here another day now that I know where to go, and continue on that path and see where it takes me. Main thing is my legs were feeling really dead, and it was just one of those days where I pushed on the pedals and nothing happened. Anyway, that's where we got to. The path does go another 7 or 8 k's north of there. We'll see where we go. We'll see if it's got the same problems with hills, inconsistency, and all that kind of stuff. So yes, it's really nice. There's a path there. It's pretty easy to use once you've done it once. But yeah, it's an absolute mishmash, that's for sure.